there and back again. Ma ha ka wa ta he ta wa ka ha ma. There and back again. Do you see? Multi-dimensional beings are we. From the energy of the first light, through the calendar of the light of days, with the veil down, we were in a haze. 1 to 10 and back again. In the darkness we held each other tightly until the light came. The dragon blood, the Taki, the Akashic potentiality. At the speed of memory, we came, there and back again. From the I am to the we are, we came far, there and back again.
Hello, it's Mark Attwood here, Ventures in a Cosmic Suit. How you doing? Do you like that poem? I like that poem. Gives me shivers. For those of you that have never seen that poem before, Ma Ha Ka Wa Ha Ti is Lemurian code from ancient Lemuria, taught to me by Who the Flash. There and Back Again is the title of the book in The Hobbit about Bilbo Baggins' journey. And I think Tolkien knew a thing or two, because There and Back Again is very descriptive of what a Native American told me when I was on tour in America one morning. She said, "We are walking through a dream we've already had." Isn't that beautiful? Also beautiful is whenever I find anybody who's speaking out, going online, who's less than 100 years old, has a full head of hair and decent teeth, unlike me, I get very excited and I like to talk to those people. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you Hayden Appleby.
Oh, thank you for having me, Mark. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you. And I love the poem. Love it.
Thanks, Hayden. Well, I discovered you the other day because I think your mum posted it in the Telegram group, and I was like, what? 16 years old? I've got to go and see this. And I did. And I was like, wow, let's get this boy on the show, because there's not a lot of you about.
I know.
Is there?
No, definitely not. And I think that's one of the big things that made me feel I have to start speaking about everything from politics, but as I know you say a lot, Mark, it's much more than politics right now. Spirituality, the world, the good, the evil. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's complicit if you stay quiet. I had to start speaking because there is so much. We're all in it.
Well, there's no such thing as coincidence. And I was literally looking at this tweet I did earlier, and I said there is no politics anymore. It's good versus evil. If you're scared of rocking the boat, you fall into the category of standing by and doing nothing while evil takes over. All the best people I have met in the past 3 years have been willing to die to stop this tyranny we now face, because that's a better option than living under satanic rule. WEF, WHO, WHO, royalty, etc. You still have time to choose your side, but not for long. Which is basically what you just said.
Yes.
Because it is, and it's interesting to meet somebody that feels that way. As a father of nearly five teenagers, it's been extremely difficult for people your age to get past the brainwashing that you are all subject to at school, on your phones, even in the games and media, all the media, the movies, everything. How have you managed to do that, Hayden?
Oh, I wouldn't have been able to do it without family. No way, Jose. It's family have definitely been a guiding light. I'm so grateful, so lucky to have had a nan, a mother, an aunt, all of them who have been awake to this. My nan from the very beginning, she's God rest her soul. She's up there now with everyone else, but she woke us all up from the very
when did she do that?
2020, end of March, just after lockdown. First lockdown was announced. She knew everything from the very beginning. Definitely starseed down here with us.
Well, what did she say to you?
She began to talk about, well, it started simply with the, I don't think something's right. I've read a few things, and obviously back then we were zombies too, so it was very oh yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. It's social media. BBC said this, so come on. And it was, yeah, I'm not sure about these masks either. I don't think we should be locking down. Look at the devastating impact it could have. So it started with kind of the lockdown policies, and then, as I'm sure you're aware, things grew out, and we started to think, oh, hang on. She started to hear things about Hollywood as well, and she started to hear things about other people she's been following. And oh, look at this weird things happening in the States. This seems like more than just COVID. Oh, look, something planned from several years ago, and it rabbit hole. Rabbit hole.
You were 13 then?
Yeah.
So have you spent the last 3 years digging? Is that what you've been doing?
I'd say so, slightly. Obviously 13, I kind of followed her. I thought, oh, okay, this is interesting, and I listened to what she had to say. I go back and forth. My amazing nan, listen to the TV a bit more, just kind of stuck in this middle ground. And then, yeah, recently, last 2 years especially, I've gone as deep as humanly possible.
Well, let's just a little note. I would like to put this on YouTube so maximum amount of people see it. So be careful about certain words.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. So what about your friends? How do they? Do you discuss this stuff with them?
I have tried. I've tried for sure. Friends have been a big issue, I'd say, pushing through that barrier of conspiracy theorist. Hopefully, I'm allowed to say that. And yeah,
well, the CIA invented that term, and they banned it all over the internet. So I think we're okay with that one.
We're fine. Yes. Back in, I think it must have been early 2021. I remember I just wrote this. I was sick of it. I was sick of masking. I was sick of a lot. We all know.
Can I just ask you, were you forced to mask up in school?
I was at first, and then I was exempt.
And what was that like? Were you the only one?
Mm-hmm.
The kids like you, right? I salute you because just absolutely. I mean, the pressure on teenagers to socially conform is massive. You know, it's massive, and I've met a few people who are parents of kids, and it's always one. If there's never more than one in a whole school, but I've met a couple of parents whose kids have gone through and didn't wear it, but I've never actually met somebody that's been through that. So what was that like for you?
Definitely very difficult. Believe it or not, it takes a lot of people as a surprise with a lot of my views, but I'm not actually keen on conflict. So
no, neither am I.
Yeah. I especially in-person conflict. It's
awful.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Yeah, definitely. And so it was difficult, but I mean, it could have been a lot worse. There could have been a lot more debate about it, but luckily they did listen. When I said I was exempt, they gave me this little card, and obviously you get funny looks, you get all the, oh, here he is again, things like that, passing comments, but it was something that was possible. So I did it. I didn't feel it was fair to be forced to wear them. So I stuck to my guns, and it was difficult, but I think the last few years have definitely matured us massively. Everyone spiritually strengthened us. So it's a big it's a big thing. But yeah.
Have any of those other people in your social circles started to listen to you?
That's really interesting, actually, because so 2021, I sort of had, it's expanded now, but I had a single group of friends really, and I remember I was sick of everything going on. I'd heard a lot of reports from deaths from you know what, and things were weird. So I thought, I've had enough. I wrote this big paragraph with everything. I probably went a bit too far, and it probably blew their minds a bit too much. It went from everything to lockdown to Satanism to, yeah, it was big. And at the time I was crazy. I was a conspiracy theorist. I was everything. And then recently I've started to notice, the last few months, I've met this certain person from that group as well, who again branded me as a conspiracy theorist. And more he started to tell me these things. He's, oh, I remember when you said this, and oh, I've got this boss at work who says that there's a psychic war going on. I feel like that's something you believe, and all of this, and just drip feeding, just kind of sowing a seed. And I'm noticing so many more leaves now. He'll even send me things on Instagram. It's yeah.
Well, one of my 12-year-olds started sending me TikToks about Isaac Cappy, and today he said something earlier this afternoon that absolutely cracked me up, and I'm like, oh, I think I might have got somewhere with this, because for my kids, there's obviously been it was all embarrassing for them at the beginning. I wanted to take them out of school. I wanted to protest outside the school, and they were like, "Dad, no! If you do that, it will kill me," socially. And I had to take their feelings into account. But more and more gradually that they've started to, it's been a very rough ride, because as a parent, you're fighting against this tidal wave of bullshit. Right. And everybody's bought into the bullshit, and you're the only one, or you feel like you're the only one that isn't there. And then you go on YouTube, and then everybody looks. I mean, in the first year of doing this, people looked at me like out the corner of their eye, and a few people shouted at me, and it's a very, very strange thing to do. But when you feel compelled to do it, it's amazing. Did you get inspired to do this? What made you actually want to go up online to do it?
Oh, recently it was definitely, I was seeing, well, two reasons I'd say. Number one was people like you who would inspire me. People like you, people like Janine, but also more political voices as well, in the field. Just kind of, I was seeing their channels, I was seeing their shows. I was thinking, oh, this is possible, because I felt that I'm at a point now where I know things, and there's no more time to be wasted. I know enough to kind of have the necessity to hopefully start talking. But number two was definitely that necessity and that need. I thought there has to be, with obviously the huge lavish attack on free speech, there has to be, we have to keep pushing, and I wanted to be a part of that as much as possible. But there is definitely a big, especially now I'm doing this, and I'm sharing it on almost social media, and everyone at college sees, and there is definitely a big kind of imposter syndrome, a big kind of embarrassment.
Listen, that doesn't go away.
No,
you have to learn how to deal with that. I mean, 2 weeks before I did a live show in Manchester, I was curled up on the roadside on holiday in Tenerife, going, who do I think I am? What am I doing? I'm an idiot. Why is anybody listening to me? And there'll be people in the comments going, "Yeah, you were right." But it never goes away. So you need to watch that. You need to watch that, because you're not an imposter, but because the conversation, I've seen you do 2 videos so far on YouTube. You've probably done a lot more. We'll look at that in a minute. But these conversations are so important. They're so important. What's amazing about you being 16 is that you've grown up in a world where free speech isn't really a thing. When I grew up, free speech really was a thing. And then the internet came, and then the mobile phone came, and then the DNA testing came, and then and it's like, I was like, hang on, and then the surveillance, the CCTV cameras everywhere, the 5G, these things became sort of unrolled through my life. But I had a basis in the philosophy of and the importance of free speech from a young age. But you grew up in a time where you were born into the middle of it. Already happened. It had already been taken away, really. So where does your sense of correctness about free speech come from? Is that from your family again, or is it inherent, or which political? I'm interested to go down this political road as well, because but we'll come back to that. Where does your gusto about free speech come from?
I honestly, I'm going to give you the most honest answer. I mainly don't know. I think it must be an innate thing. They call you crazy, but I think it must be an innate thing that I know that we should have a sovereignty to be able to speak and not be, because it can feel like we're the players and they're the game masters and they run it and they program it, but that's not the case. And so I think there is just something inside me that says, no, you can speak, you deserve to speak, even if, we're in a culture where that's not socially accepted as much. But there's definitely as well, I'm actually going to quote someone. There is one quote that I remember massively every time I think of free speech, which is from it's from Jordan Peterson, Dr. Jordan Peterson, and he says that there's a lot of people who claim to they advocate for the oppressed, and yet they're against free speech when it's not anything the oppressed have. And I remember that always sticks with me, and I always think, yeah, exactly. There's these people, and it's the majority of the time the people who claim they're doing so much good, and yet they're ridding you of free speech, which is so incredibly dangerous. So that always, I remember that all the time, whenever, in fact, only recently someone tried to silence me, but I won't go into that. But it was, I always remember that quote. It's so important.
It is. It's double speak. What these people do is double speak, as George Orwell called it. They say one thing, they mean another. And I remember when I was about your age, I went to the States, and it was it was called political correctness then. PC was just coming in the late 80s.
Yeah.
And I got to the States, and it was far more advanced there than it was in the UK. And then I'd be, you can't say that. I go,
Yeah.
sorry, why I can't say what? And I was being told off 30 years ago, 35 years ago, for saying that I had no idea. And the walls just came in and in and in, and then until some of us burst out of it and went, no, this can't continue. And right now in Ireland, I don't know about where you are. Whereabouts in the UK are you?
I'm in Essex.
In Ireland right now, there are 80,000 men of fighting age coming into the country without passports, not from Ukraine, from all over the place, right? And they are literally displacing populations by 30% or more, right? So people, ordinary people, mothers, are getting out, standing up, putting placards up and stopping them coming in or protesting. And the state-sponsored broadcaster RTE, which is the Irish equivalent of the BBC, the government themselves and their Twitter accounts and on their press conferences are labeling all of these concerned mothers, mainly. There are some men out there doing it as well, some really amazing men, far-right extremists, and they're pushing through a hate speech act here that gives the police unrivaled powers, even if you've got a meme on your computer that you've never posted and you didn't even know you've got. If they considered it to be potentially harmful to somebody, then they will put you in prison and fine you, and then force all of your family members to give them access to their devices and laptops. It's insanity.
Yeah. Orwell was right, eh?
Well, yeah. I mean, he was probably a time traveler, like I think Donald Trump is. But I was very politically aware when I was your age as well, and I've told the story of how I used to rush home from the Air Cadets on a Thursday to watch Question Time on the BBC. And, you know, when I look back on those episodes, I was basically watching a panel full of satanic paedophiles telling everybody how to live whilst doing the complete opposite. But at the time, I really bought into the left and the right, and I bought into all of that, and I was trying to work the world out.
Yeah.
You said that you've been following some political stuff. What is the political stuff that you've been following that's interesting at the moment?
Well, I was kind of more in the past, a couple of years ago. I mean, you're extraordinary if you can avoid it in today's education system. So I bought into it very kind of, I wouldn't say far, but very left leaning. It was all because as someone who believes in
Social justice.
yeah, and a great deal of spirituality as well. Obviously, with spirituality, that you talk about a lot about kind of love, and you talk about connection, and you talk about unity. So I thought that unity meant completely open borders and nothing mattered, and it meant BLM, and it meant all of this. And then I started to. I basically I really believe that it's very rare that there's a sudden or there's a sudden you go from far this way to far that way, or you go from central to this. I think it very much is a seed that's sown, and just gradually it's watered, and you start to think, right, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So since then, to cut a long story short, I've definitely become more on the right end of the spectrum with just so many social things as well. I think there's so much, like you said, with doublespeak, twisted things that are disguised as being social justices, but are the opposite. They're moving you further away from unity, further away from equality, further away from connection. And I think you really have to wake up to that. But I do also believe that I've got in my channel description that I have more conservative views, but by that I do mean kind of more, as I say, on the right end of the spectrum. But this whole spectrum, I think we do have to also acknowledge, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot more to the world right now than politics, and that's what I'm trying to speak out on, full stop, overall.
Well, the whole left-right paradigm, I believe, was created just so that we everything's a limited hangout. Okay. So you've got people who are empathic, who care about justice, don't want to see anybody discriminated against, don't want to see anybody in a wheelchair not able to get up some steps, you know, just basic human kindness, right? And that's the great trick of corralling people like that in the left, and then making it seem like all the right-wing people are bastards who just want to make money, and then they just make it black and white, red and blue, like this. And it's insane, because the word liberal when I was a kid meant a completely different thing to what it means today. And to be right-wing now, according to mainstream, means that you actually care about family, children not being groomed, you know, not having a war, you know, and that's what President Trump has stood for. How do you feel about him? It's okay if you don't like him; it's fine.
No, I do. It's definitely that was another thing with my nan. She was very because the education system, if you don't come out hating Trump, you are a huge one-off. Simple, because I
know it's incredible. My kids at school, my eldest, he left school 18 months ago, but when he was at school, it didn't matter what the class was. It could be a physics class, a history class, a maths class. Every teacher spent the first 20 minutes going on about how much they hate Trump before they started teaching.
Yeah, I've been told that my teachers vote Labour. I've been told, it's so politicized massively. I do definitely support Trump. I think things go so deep with him, but I think he did so much good for, obviously, the States, but also, as I'm sure we know, the world as a whole. But there has been a huge witch hunt, as we know, massive witch hunt since the very start. And this was another thing that my amazing nan, I'm going to keep talking about her, because if this wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her.
Thank you, Hayden, nan. What was the name?
Tina.
Thanks, Tina.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You got a good one here.
She's here now, definitely. Yeah, from the very start, right back then when I was just wrapping my head around like lockdown and how, I don't think I even agree with this. She was at the point where she was saying, I think there's a rigged election going on. And obviously I'm not claiming there is YouTube, but she was saying things like that. And I started to think, oh yeah, this is weird, because I was watching the polls with her and I was thinking, that's weird. And things started to shift. And then I'd listen to what Trump actually said, not what the media said he said, but what he actually said. And I would think, okay, I agree with that. Maybe you're not this far right extremist that I think you are. So actually, yeah, there's been I'm very grateful. There hasn't been too much kind of deconstruction of an old belief system, although I was kind of left. I've never been, like you say, I haven't had to kind of refresh. I've always had those kind of role models like my nan who have not indoctrinated me, but have actually just educated me, have actually just said, hey, look what's going on. Maybe it's not just what school is telling you. So that's been a blessing.
Well, that's not indoctrination, because that's one voice. In a teenager's life, that's one voice in an ocean of voices that are all saying something else.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're all following the herd, and it's very difficult to respect those people. But we have to have, I don't know, have you got compassion for them still? Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a quite dangerous road when you flip and become the opposite of what they are, because that's what's so interesting about this. So you're at college or school at the moment?
College, yeah.
So if any of your college friends are watching, it's all in here.
Oh,
Get this.
Yeah.
This explains everything in a humorous, informative, entertaining way. Are you going to be interviewing people?
I hope so. I just I'm really kind of, like you said, God wins. I'm really kind of putting it in the hand of God, in the hand of the universe, and I'm going to see what happens. There are, as many people you've interviewed, there are amazing people out there. I really hope to do some interviews, but I'm kind of trying to grow it first.
Yeah, well, that's why I shared it for you. I hope I got you some views.
That was amazing.
What will you see? This is what it's all about. It's collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. It's inspiration, collaboration. It's showing people the way. You're a way shower, right? You know, who wants to watch a 54-year-old geezer like me when they're teenagers? They don't. You know, so, you know, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is because I'm going to send this to my kids. And I told them about you yesterday, right? And so this is why it's so important what you're doing, because are you familiar with Dolores Cannon's work about the different ages of people? So do you know what you are in that?
I don't, but I don't know specifically, but I'm definitely an old soul. I've been told it.
Oh, 100%.
Forever.
I can smell it a mile off.
Yeah.
And you know, so just a quick thing about spirituality that you mentioned. I mean, you know, we're dealing with the Archbishop of Canterbury said Jesus would get the jab. You know, I mean, how much of it do you think is a wake up job, or do you buy into any of the stuff that's going on around us in world politics, on the world stage, and in media?
You know what, I do believe that there are ridiculous things like Jesus would get a vaccine, and an archbishop who claims to be, you know, Christian, but yet is putting words in Jesus's mouth. I do believe there are some really twisted things like that that make me think, sorry, it must be a wake-up call, must be white hats. But I do also believe that there are definitely just people out there who somehow are brainwashed into thinking that they're trying to do good and are kind of legit on the political spectrum, on the political field. And obviously mainstream, I think there's definitely a lot of ploys, a lot of wake-up calls, like you said, disguised as other matters. But I do think some of it must be real. I don't know what you think.
Well, I think it's all real, but it's all not
Oh
real.
yeah.
It's all real and not real at the same time, and it's such a strange place to be, because on the one hand, most of the people who got this believed 100% they were doing the right thing and they were protecting everybody and protecting their family. That's what makes it so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't tell them off because they thought they were doing the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you got to have compassion for them, but at the same time, they endangered the lives of the people that didn't get it, and they need to own up to that, because but you know, getting somebody to own up to that, that's also difficult. And also, this period post lockdowns and stuff is very, very weird, because it's kind of like a lot of people are just going, just getting on with their lives as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And let's just forget about all that. You know, hang on, Matt Hancock, you committed mass murder. What do you mean you're going on?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that's the wake up call. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that was a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you make of all the Philip Schofield stuff that's going on at the moment?
I think. Do you know what? I think it's either just removing as many of them as possible. When I say them, I do mean paedophiles, but I think there could be element of distraction as well, because obviously there's a much bigger game here. I don't think it's just him.
Oh no. The whole media is a huge ring, as is the EU, as is Parliament, as is every organization. It's so deep, this cesspit. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But I'm going to show the viewers who've not familiar where to find you and where your YouTube channel is.
Wonderful.
So you go to YouTube, you type in Hayden Appleby, Utter Truth, Uncensored Opinion. You're only doing one video a week. Is that because you got a lot of college work?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be doing lots of shorts as well, like little reactions throughout the week. But every Wednesday there's going to be one of those kind of big videos.
Well, that's great.
It's planning to come out in a couple of hours. I think I've got it premiered this week's.
Good. Well, I'm going to put a link below this video, so you guys watching, subscribe to Hayden and share it with your kids and get them to watch it and support this, because honestly, it's so important to bridge these age gaps and have these conversations. And it's not about being in absolute truth, being absolutely right, but it's about having these conversations and bringing highlighting things that people just haven't thought about. I mean, I've got grown friends who still think Michelle Obama is a woman, and that the World Health Organization is a great organization, and they're in their 50s. It's like, what?
Yeah,
it's ludicrous to me, right? So and a lot of 16-year-olds wouldn't even don't really think anything matters. They just want to have fun. They don't really care about politics. So boring, but if you're a teenager watching this, your government just tried to kill all of you. Okay, you might have missed that meeting, but that's what happened. And you've got to take responsibility for building our future, because you are the future.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I'm doing. Yeah,
exactly. By the way, are you like studying media or anything like that? Is that what?
No, I'm actually interested I'm studying drama, philosophy, and English.
Well, good. They're all good grounding. I did all of those. Yeah. That's good, because a bit of drama, a bit of philosophy, and a bit of English is very, very important for a YouTube channel.
Exactly. Yeah, all coming in handy.
So how is the UK feeling right now? I pop over there every now and then, see my mum, and do the occasional events. But what's the vibe as far as you're concerned?
I feel quite stable. I've been feeling a lot of kind of, if you want to talk like hot vibrations, I've been feeling kind of a lot of the high vibrational end of the spectrum, if you like. It feels good, but it feels like something's, I don't know, brewing. I don't know. It just feels a bit dead as well. It feels kind of like some things, you know, that there hasn't been enough justice. So I feel like energetically things aren't bad. Things aren't bad by any means. Things are good, but they're not as good as they will be. I think we are heading in the right direction.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So you're an apocalyptimist as well.
Yep. That's always been the case. Never a transform with that.
Good. And what are your plans? What do you see happening in the next few years? What's your feeling?
As in globally,
Yeah.
the world. Do you know what I'm really trying? A few years ago, or not, a few months ago, I was very much on the got 3 weeks left, guys. Then this will happen. You got a year. Then this will happen. I'm really trying to just have a lot of faith now. The next few years, I think there will be things will start small. I think, and I think they already have started with oh, we've now suddenly discovered that this wasn't right after all. And it starts like that, and we've started to see a couple of things like that, even with just little articles. Oh look, we've discovered that this shouldn't have happened. And I believe things will get bigger, and I don't think people can stay asleep much longer. I'm actually noticing so many more people waking up, even if it's not on to kind of a big scale with all the paedophilia going on, but just little things like, actually, do you know what, that was wrong and you were right. Actually, do you know what, this I mean, the Great Reset, actually, my first video, the Great Reset, the reception I had was actually different to how I did expect more criticism, but even people I know, sorry, I've got a dog.
I thought that sounded like a dog. Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, it's actually my nan's dog, so he's obviously yeah. Even people I know, there is so much there's so much awakening going on, and as I say, I think things will continue to seep, things will continue to kind of creep out, and it will be big in a good way. I do think it's a good way. I do believe that.
Well, I'm just looking at some of the comments you've had so far in this video. Good for you. Glad you're ditching Apple Pay in favor of cash. Yes, that is good. All kids go to cash. Last bastion of freedom.
Yeah.
And then go and read The Creature from Jekyll Island, and then understand what cash really is, because it's actually a tool of enslavement. But that's what everybody should know. I mean, it's all really good. It's a good start. Now, one thing you've got to, I know a lot of these people, by the way, so that's good. One thing I should, one thing I hope you've got a thick skin. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've really, with planning this, I've really kind of tried to work on building. I haven't shied away from last few weeks conversations that I would normally. I'll just keep that in my head. No, I've said it. But it's not. I think I am. I don't know if I'd say I'm an empath, but I am definitely kind of can be sensitive. So it's something I'm working on.
Yeah, I'm extremely sensitive, and it is a tough thing. But you got to develop a water off a duck's back kind of attitude.
Yeah.
That's something to look out for.
Yeah, I do think the biggest thing, like I'm happy with, I do actually really enjoy debates when you have a view and you have another person's view, and you respect each other, and you can discuss it. But something that does kind of hit me, and I'm trying to develop a thick skin around that, is which I think is why they've done it so much over the last few years, is as if you are crazy, you're a conspiracy theorist, that really kind of, I think, am I making this up? Am I just looking for something that isn't there? It does, yeah, it makes you doubt yourself, and doubt is obviously so low vibrational. So I think that they know, I think it's a big, yeah, that was definitely something that, because if they'd have just refuted with evidence and you could have had a debate, I think it would have been so much less. It's so much less kind of hits you on a personal level, as opposed to when they do come after your character and they come after, well, you know, you're I can't even go through all the phrases. Conspiracy theorist, you're this, that's something that I am trying to develop a thick skin with, definitely.
Well, you know, my advice is do public speaking as soon as you can.
Yeah.
You know, come to my next live show. Whenever, I haven't set it yet, but I'll bear you in mind for that, because that's really empowering. And then you get to actually meet loads of other people that understand where you're coming from, which is extraordinary. It's like meeting old family members. It's incredible. And keep doing it. Have you got a wish list of people you want to get on your show?
You know, I don't fully yet. I was going to be making a video regarding the jabs a few weeks ago, so I did do a bit of a list. I went down the kind of the Asim Malhotra, I went down that kind of route, but that would be a long-term thing. But obviously, in regard to so much else that's going on in the world, I'm hoping on building a list.
Yeah, well, you know, if you need introducing to anybody, and I can do that, let us know. But you keep going and keep producing stuff, and come back on here in a couple of months and let us know how it's going.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
And best of luck with it all. And you guys watching, support Hayden and share his channel. I'll put links down below this video as well.
So much.
And it's just a real pleasure to meet you. Come back on any time. I've got to shoot, dad things to do. I've got 2 more shows tonight. And I've already done 3 shows today.
Yeah, I thought so.
I'm having a busy week, but I'm glad I squeezed you in. Thank you very much, Hayden. Take care.
Thank you so much. See you later.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.